Salesforce just dropped their Q2 earnings, and wow, the headline is a big one. They've just smashed through a huge revenue milestone. So we're going to break down exactly how they pulled it off, and more importantly, we're going to unpack the one thing that's totally changing the game for them. And yeah, you guessed it, it's all about AI. Let's dive right in.
All right, but before we get into the numbers, we've got to do the usual housekeeping. Just a quick heads up, what you're about to hear is a breakdown of Salesforce's official press release. It's just for informational purposes, to get you up to speed. This is definitely not financial or investment advice, okay? Cool.
So let's get straight to the big number. What's the headline everyone's talking about? Bam. $10.2 billion. That's what Salesforce brought in for revenue in just the second quarter. It is a massive, record-breaking number for them, a huge milestone. Now, let's figure out how on earth they got there. Okay, first up, let's dig into that record revenue growth. We need to break down that top-line number, right? Where did all that cash come from, and what's it really say about where the company is headed?
So that $10.2 billion figure, it's not just big in a vacuum. It represents a solid 10% growth year over year. For a company the size of Salesforce, that kind of consistent upward climb is, well, it's seriously impressive. And you can see that jump right here. I mean, they went from about $9.5 billion in Q2 last year, all the way up to over $10 billion now. That's a huge leap. But you know what? That top-line revenue, that's really only part of the story.
Check out this number, $29.4 billion. Now, that is a massive figure. It's what's called their CRPO, or Current Remaining Performance Obligation. So, what in the world is that? Okay, let's break down CRPO because it's super important. The easiest way to think about it is, it's all the money from contracts they've already signed, but they just haven't officially counted it as revenue yet. It's like a guaranteed pipeline of future income already locked in. And the fact that this number also grew by 11%, that tells you the business is incredibly healthy and predictable moving forward.
All right, so we know they're making a ton of money. The growth is there. But here's the next big question. Are they actually profitable? Let's talk about how they're maximizing the value from every single dollar.
And the answer is a resounding yes. I mean, look at this efficiency. Their non-GAAP operating margin, which is just a way of looking at their core business performance without some of the accounting noise, it hit over 34%. And get this is the 10th consecutive quarter they've improved that margin. They're not just making more money, they're getting way, way better at turning that revenue into actual profit.
And all that extra profit, it's not just sitting around. It's going right back to the shareholders. In this one quarter alone, Salesforce returned $2.6 billion to investors. So the natural question is, how'd they do that?
Well, it happened in a couple of ways. They spent about $2.2 billion buying back their own shares. And another, almost $400 million, was paid out in dividends. But here's the kicker, they're not stopping. They just announced they're adding another $20 billion to their share buyback program. That's a huge vote of confidence in their own stock.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got record revenue, we've got rock-solid profits, but what's actually powering all of this? What's the engine behind these incredible numbers? Now this is where the story gets really, really interesting.
You ready for this? 120%. Let that sink in. That is the year-over-year growth for Salesforce's Data Cloud and AI business. That one part of the business is now pulling in over $1.2 billion a year in recurring revenue. Folks, that's not just growth, that is an absolute explosion.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The CEO himself, Mark Benioff, points directly at their AI vision. He uses this term, agentic enterprises, which is this idea of a workplace where humans and AI agents are working together, side by side. You can see this isn't just about selling a new product for them. It's a complete shift in how they view the entire future of work.
So after a quarter like that, you've got to wonder, what's next? What does Salesforce think the rest of the year is going to look like? Well, let's take a peek at their own forecast.
And as you can see, they're feeling pretty optimistic. They're basically saying, yeah, we expect this momentum to keep right on rolling. They're projecting another really strong quarter coming up, and they've even bumped up their revenue forecast for the entire year. That's a huge signal of confidence that this isn't just a one-time thing.
All right, let's just boil it all down. What are the big takeaways? First, Salesforce smashed expectations with record revenue over $10 billion. Second, they did it with really strong profit margins and gave a ton of cash back to shareholders. Third, and this is the big one, Their AI and data cloud business is on fire, growing 120%. And finally, they're so confident about all this that they've raised their forecast for the whole year. Pretty simple, right?
So that leaves us with one final, pretty big question to chew on. We've seen it pretty clearly. AI isn't just some neat little feature for Salesforce anymore. No way. It's become a massive, multi-billion-dollar business that's growing at an insane pace. So the real question is, how is this AI engine, this rocket ship that's growing at over 100%, going to completely reshape everything else they do in the years ahead?